We're now joined by our longtime friend, Doug Doyle, news and sports director at WBGO 88.3. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Steve. Always great to be with you.
You're a Jersey guy. WBGO are longtime media partners, public media based in New York, but you get this Pittsburgh thing. What's up with that?
Well, I was raised in an outskirt town of Pittsburgh called Delmont, Pennsylvania, where my family still lives. So yes, indeed, I am a Steelers, Pirates, and Penguins fan throughout. No matter what I cover, they're still close to my heart.
We appreciate that. And Doug, do us a favor. We'll talk about news coverage in just a second. Talk about the sports programming you do, which is not just about, as you and I like to say, X's and O's. It's about sports and culture and society and much more. Go ahead. Plug that.
Yeah, Sports Jam just received just this week, Steve, best podcast by the New Jersey Society of Professional Journalists. And I don't think it's because it's a sports show, because it's a show about people and what makes them tick, right? So when I have guests like Trinity Rodman and we have guests like Bernie Williams, they're not just talking about sports. They're, as you mentioned, the X and O's of the game. They're talking about family, what makes it important to them. And we get to issues that really are for anyone to enjoy. You don't have to be a sports fan to enjoy Sports Jam.
Talk about the role of WBGO, not just the great jazz and the culturally significant programming there around the arts. Jazz is the premier jazz station in this region, in this nation. Talk about the news side of the equation, the role that WBGO plays.
Well, I found out early on, as I go on to my 25th year at WBGO in the news department, that people crave information. Jazz fans, blues fans, rhythm and blues, whatever you enjoy, you also want to know what's going on in the world. So we try to give you a nice mix. Yeah, music is number one, but you need to be informed in order to make the right decisions, whether it be at the polls like we did recently, or whether it be, when you're having a conversation with someone. Some of the most fascinating conversations that I have with jazz fans are about regular issues about mom and pop and family. And that's what people connect with WBGO, I hope. And they get that information from our newscasts, our public affairs programs, as well as the podcast.
Yeah. And also I want to make it clear that some of our programming actually airs on WBGO. Check that programming out. You look at their website, our website. But Doug, let's do this. You and I have also had conversations as the graphic goes up for Democracy at a Crossroads, a series we've been doing for years. The role of public media. I've talked to Neil Shapiro about this, our president of WNET Group, Joe Lee, the leader, or the general manager over at NJPBS, and others. Public media, I'm obsessed with our role in a democracy. How do you see it, as some in major public positions in the federal government and other places have called us, quote, the enemy of the people? And not just public media, but all media. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's extremely unfair. You're getting in-depth coverage when you're talking about public media. Programs like the one you have right here, we're talking about the real issues that matter. You're not getting the cookie cutter that you might get on the commercial side. You're getting a chance to get as many different sides to the story as possible. We don't have to rush through when we do features about whether it be, something that's happening in Newark or elsewhere. We get a chance to get everybody weighing in on it, right? It's not just one quick comment and you're out. Yeah, sometimes newscasts can be that way, but with our public affairs show, we try to get in depth with the story. And that's what public media is all about, is trying to give you enough information for you to be informed to make the decisions you need to, and not be brainwashed by various networks.
As you say that, Doug, you've heard me say this before. People who watch our programming know I say this. We don't have a horse in the race. And people go, well, what does that mean? Well, do you lean this way? Do you lean that way? I'm like, and I think, is that what it is, that we have to lean? We don't lean in any direction other than having respectful, civil, substantive, impactful conversation. People go, oh, yeah, right. And I know you believe, I'll get off my soapbox, but I know you believe the same thing. You have no horse in the race. We like horse racing, but we have no horse in the race. Go ahead.
Yeah, but we have to understand that this country is so divided now. So if you want to have ratings, if you're a commercial network, you want to have ratings, you're going to have to probably lean one way or the other, because if you're down the middle, you might not attract the viewers that you want to attract. You've got to have passionate people. And I think that's why we've seen, on both sides of the aisle, we've seen just really biased reporting from all over the place. In public media, we have to do a better job ourselves of making sure that we present the whole story. And then we have to convince people that, yeah, this is the place you need to tune into so you get all the facts. Then you can make the decision, because that's what's important, Steve, is that you, the viewer, make the decision based on the information, not you based on what somebody else is feeding you.
You know what's so interesting about that, and I'll get off it. If the same action by a government official is done by one person that your media organization leans toward because they're of a party or a place in this political spectrum that you agree with, then it's okay. If someone on, quote, the other side, quote unquote, the other side, does the exact same thing, they're the worst person in the world, they're horrible, they're corrupt, you need to investigate. And I'm thinking to myself, can't people see through that? That is not only biased reporting, but dangerous reporting. I said I'd get off my soapbox. I'm not.
Well, I think that, when you talk about whether people see through it, people see what they want to see. People want to connect with something, right? And all it takes is a few things happen in your personal life not to go well, and then suddenly somebody has to be to blame for it, right? You have to find, if someone's in office or they've yet to be in office, somebody's got to blame for your hardships, not just you, right? It's got to be the people who are running the country. So I think that that's why people lean one way or the other. But I'll be honest with you. I enjoy watching a news conference with a political official and flipping to all the different channels to see how they spin it, because it's so different. It's like in a different world. Including election coverage is spun different. I'm like, aren't those the results? Can't we just agree on? Never mind. Okay. Hey, Doug, I'm sorry. That's what happens when you and I, these are the conversations Doug Doyle and I have offline as well. Hey, WBGO Jazz Media Workshop, what is it? Because we're very concerned about education as well. Go ahead. It's a great program, grant-funded program. Steve Williams, our CEO and president, wanted to give people the same opportunity that he had when he was younger, give them a chance to learn about the business. And so I came in and said, Steve, let me take over this program. We'll teach them how to produce their own podcast. And we got everybody involved in the station at all different levels. And we taught 4 students how to put together podcasts. And because they were all part of Jazz House Kids in Montclair, they wanted to do them. Yeah, great organization. And they wanted to do a music idea podcast. And each of them did a fantastic job. If I can give just shout outs to Emily Springer, Alvaro Caravaca, Brendan Mejia, and Becca Deal. They did a fabulous job of taking their own experiences and making their own separate podcasts, whether it be mentoring, whether it be how to deal with a disability when you're a musician. What is Latin jazz? And for Beckett, drumming, how he learned to be a drummer. You find out from his early days, and they all interview people in the podcast. We're quite proud of what they do. You can find it at wbgo.org/studios. Yeah, that's important stuff. And let me also disclose this, that WBGO is a media partner of ours, and Doug's been working with us in the developmental stages of a sports and society and leadership centric podcast. He not only understands broadcasting in sports, but why it isn't simply the X's and O's. My good friend, our good friend in the media, and also check out the Steve Williams interview on steveadubato.org. We did an interview with Steve a while back. Cannot thank you enough, Doug. To you and the family at WBGO and public radio overall, we thank you for the work you do. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate the opportunity, Steve. Good luck to you. You guys stay with us. We'll be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by MD Advantage Insurance Company, Newark Board of Education, PSC&G, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, the North Ward Center, TD Bank, PSEG Foundation, Community Food Bank of New Jersey, and by Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Promotional support provided by ROINJ and by New Jersey Globe.
Hundreds of thousands of people in New Jersey face hunger.
Now, more than ever.
Together with our 800-plus agency partners.
Now, more than ever.
The Community Food Bank of New Jersey is fighting hunger.
Now, more than ever.
You can help our hungry neighbors by going to cfbnj.org. Join us.